Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk a little, and I mean very little, about the new Rolling Stones album, Foreign Tongues, that just came out, and I got this on CD, my preferred choice for listening. And let me tell you, and please let this sink in, this is not a review. It is not a review. Let me say that one more time. It's not a review, all right? I want to make that clear. Uh, I have to give you a little backstory first. All right. A few years ago, I bought this Rolling Stones album, Hackney Diamonds. I loved this album, and something very special happened when I listened to Hackney Diamonds. That very seldom happens at all, especially with a new album. And that's every single one of these songs appealed to me on first listen. Angry, Get Close, Depending on You, Bite My Head Off, Whole Wide World, Dreamy Skies, Mess It Up, Live by the Sword, Driving Me Too Hard, Tell Me Straight, Sweet Sounds of Heaven. And I wasn't wild about Rolling Stone blues, although I do know that that's their signature sound, the blues, and that was put at the end. But anyway, this is not about this album, this video, but I want to say I loved this album so much that instead of just picking up the CD, I went ahead and I got the vinyl. That's how much I loved it. And Andrew Watt's production made me a fan of Andrew Watt, and I thought he added a lot to this album. This is on purple vinyl. Not only did I buy the vinyl, I got a purple vinyl, all right? That's how much I liked it. Well, let's go back to the new album. All right. Now, I put this CD on in my car, okay? I have a portable CD player that attaches into the car. The sound is very good, so there's no dispute here about the sound quality when I'm listening. It's my preferred way to listen. Sometimes I listen at home, but because I live in an apartment, I like to play it louder in the car, okay? I could do that. Now, unlike Hackney Diamonds, when I played Foreign Tongues, none of the songs were appealing to me at all, okay? The first song, Rough and Twisted, I could tell it was very blues flavored, which is fine. But it didn't really knock my socks off. And then the second song, In the Stars, nothing really fantastic to me. Then Jealous Lover, then Mr. Charm. First four songs. Now, the first time I played this album, I got to admit, I was out on the run. Sometimes I'll listen to an album in the car, and I'll just drive, and I'll play the whole thing. This time I was kind of on the run. I had to go to a supermarket. So I got out of the car, and I went into the supermarket, did my shopping, and when I came out, I had forgotten to turn the CD player off. So by the time I got into the car, it was up to track 9 already. And I didn't like what I was hearing on track 9 either as I turned the car on and listened to that. I'm like, this album was not appealing to me at all. Not at all. So I said, I'll get back to this. Maybe I'm not in the right frame of mind. Maybe something's wrong. I'll put it on a shelf, so to speak, and I will get back to this album. So I want to give it a fair shot. So a couple of days later, back into the car, put it on again. I played it from the beginning. Rough and Twisted was better than the first time. In the Stars and Jealous Lover, better, I thought, than the first time. But still, I didn't think these were exceptional. I kind of felt like I was kind of just like trying to find something in these songs. To me, the songs aren't there. Unlike Hackney Diamonds, where the songs were there. Obviously. I don't know which songs from here are leftovers that weren't put on Hackney Diamonds. That happens sometimes. You put an album out and you have leftovers or, discarded tracks that were left for later album, maybe B-sides. I was reading a lot of reviews on this album, and it seems that people are split. Some people love this album. I'm going to give a plug to a really good guy that I know from hanging out in my record store, Alan Rosenberg. Alan Rosenberg is the ultimate Stones fan. He has a channel here on YouTube called The Alan Rosenberg Show, and I'm going to recommend it because he did an amazing, powerful, strong support review of this. Nobody loves this album more than Alan Rosenberg. In fact, even though I didn't care for what I was hearing on this album, I watched his whole video. His video is like a half an hour, but yet I was trying to listen to it to kind of discover, and I'm asking you out there too, what am I missing? What am I missing? To me, the songs just aren't there. One of these tracks has Mick Jagger singing in a high-pitched voice that I really didn't care for. I don't understand. I loved when he did it in Emotional Rescue. I don't know why I didn't like it here. But I felt like, and some of the reviews that I've been reading, a lot of fans are split 50-50, and some people are saying these sound like B-sides. They say maybe the musicianship is great here. Maybe the quality of the work is exceptional, but some people are saying, and I tend to agree so far, the songs aren't there. There's just no great songs, so I've heard mixed things, and I realize already, even just maybe roughly about a week after the release of this, I could see that the fan base is mixed. All right, I want to know what your feelings are, and I want to know why I'm not digging this. This album, Hackney Diamonds, was so great that I said to myself, I think this should be their last album. And I was worried. I said, if they put out another album, they're gonna tarnish it, because this is the perfect album to go out on. It was so appreciated, it was so liked, and it was so strong that I thought, why muck it up with putting out another album that may not be as good? And for me, believe me, I didn't. People will say you had your mind made up. Some people do that. They have their mind made up. They're not going to like the new album. They're going to put a mind block on it. Believe me, I know myself. If this album, Foreign Tongues, had been better than Hackney Diamonds, I would have said, man, this is even better. When I bought it at one of my record stores that I go to, the owner of the shops said to me, man, I tell you, I liked Hackney Diamonds, he said, but man, this is even better. And a lot of fans are saying that. A lot of fans think that Foreign Tongues blows away even Hackney Diamonds. And I don't know, I think maybe the songs on Hackney Diamonds for me maybe were more accessible, maybe a little more commercial. Let me put it this way. My girlfriend, anytime we're in the car listening to the radio, we listen to an oldies station, anytime a Rolling Stones song comes on the radio, my girlfriend immediately says, she doesn't like Mick Jagger, she doesn't like the Stones, she feels Mick Jagger can't sing. My girlfriend doesn't understand the idea of rock and roll. They don't have to be Enrico Caruso to do good rock and roll. Like, Mick is one of the best. But anyway, my girlfriend loved Hackney Diamonds. Or liked it. Maybe I'm going a little too far. She didn't love it, but she liked it. She said, I don't even like the Rolling Stones, and I liked Hackney Diamonds. So what does that say? I don't know why the songs on Hackney Diamonds are more palatable. The bottom line is, again, one more time with Foreign Tongues, this is not a review, so I'm going to get people here saying, how could you review an album you haven't even listened to? I'm not reviewing it. I don't know. But I heard one other thing, I'll tell you. I didn't even realize until I watched Alan Rosenberg's absolutely sensational, exceptional review. I didn't even realize that the first three songs, Rough and Twisted, In the Stars, and Jealous Lover, were the first three singles for the album. I didn't even hear the singles before I bought this. I wanted to be fresh. I didn't even want to hear the singles. I didn't want to hear the first dropped tracks. I wanted to get a fresh take right from there in the album. I didn't even know that the first three tracks was the single. So I'm saying to myself, if the first three tracks are supposed to be the best ones that were even suitable for a singles release, what does that say about the rest of the album? And some of the reviews that I've read by fans have said, some of them say, the album, the second half is not as good as the first. It kind of goes down. Some people who don't really care too much for this say the second half of the album is worse than the first, or not as good as the first. If that's the case, I just don't feel like I want to put the effort in. Why don't I want to put the effort in? This album, I think it's 62 minutes long. It's one of the longest albums. It's not a short album. It's not 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's 62 minutes. And there's a expanded edition. I've seen an expanded edition. Lord help us with that, and It just isn't grabbing me at all. I'll tell you another thing. Paul McCartney plays bass on one of the tracks here. I believe it's "Covered in You." It features Paul McCartney on bass. I disliked what I was hearing so much and was so bored by it and disinterested. I didn't even play the song that Paul plays bass on. That's how disinterested I am in this. Now, will I say that I'll never play the rest of the album? No, I'm not saying that. Maybe I will. But you see, I'm different from a lot of people. I mean, I could spend my whole life never playing the rest of this and being perfectly okay with that. You know, it didn't pique my interest. But yet I'll spend at certain times the rest of my life, I'll play Hackney Diamonds. I'll pop this in the CD player or on the turntable with the purple vinyl every once in a while because I really like this. I've revisited this album a few times since 2023. I like it. There's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I like this. I'll play it a lot. This one, I listened to like a few songs on it, bounced around. I don't like what I'm hearing. I have no interest in completing it. I can live with that, although I may hear it again. I may hear the whole thing once. I don't know. I'm not invested in the Rolling Stones like I am with, say, the Beatles or the solo Beatles. When it comes to the solo Beatles, Paul McCartney, or even Ringo, I like them so much that I will listen several times till I get to learn the album. It is true that sometimes an album does not appeal to you the first time you listen to it, or even the second, and it requires several listens. My theory always is, while that may be true, you can't spend your whole life playing every album 7, 8, 10 times. You can't. You have to judge what is deemed worthy to you to spend your time on and what's not. So that's it, folks. I can't get through this album. I don't really want to get through this album. I say can't. Maybe it's more like I don't want to. It's not calling my name. Listen to the rest of me. Listen to the rest of. Those are my thoughts. Not a review. Those are my thoughts on listening to just some of the songs from the beginning on Foreign Tongues. What do you think?